That is currently recording.
Yeah, because Jordan is, in fact, a sneaky bitch. Yep. That checks out.
Hey, at least I didn't let it sit for like a significant period of time.
I would never notice anyways. It's like you can count me in and I'm still going to fuck it up.
Right.
But hey, look, we caught a wild Kevon.
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 Yeah.
Formerly our high school fuck around pal, Kevo. Now he's in his adult evolution. Kevon. Apparently they're French too.
I forget. We started hanging out in was it in high school? Because you didn't go to Franklin, right? Did you? Mm-hmm. You went to Franklin?
Yeah. I remember him
in middle school.
Yeah, we all had the same gym class.
In middle school. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's a lifetime ago.
Yes, we are now 28 years old.
Yeah.
We are full of wisdom, full of mistakes, experiences.
Yep. Then we have a lot of things that are different than we were when we were in middle school.
Yeah. Kevo's got the biggest changes, I think.
I think so.
This man took a different path than us, very much so.
For sure.
You got 2 kids?
2 kids.
Two kids.
Yep.
Dude, first off, how? How did, I mean, I know how. You don't have to explain that. You don't have to explain that part to me specifically. But
so, in case you didn't know, Grant, like when a guy likes a girl,
I will throw my coffee at you. I swear to God, Jordan. No, like, so, because we kind of lost touch there, like, fairly early on when you like took this arguably like way harder path than us. Like can you even describe like what it's been like going through that whole thing? And kind of like unfortunately we kind of like faded away too, and so we weren't even there to like help or like be a part of it or like support at all. And I mean that bothered us too, but
because
Jesus,
it seemed like right after high school, like, I mean, we all kind of had our own idea of what we wanted to happen, and we all just kind of like went in those directions, and just shit was different for all of us for a while.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm curious what like what the process was of like, I guess, becoming a dad.
Yeah. It was definitely a process. I mean, it was definitely unexpected, and life really throws you curveballs, you know.
Yeah.
You guys know how many things happen in life, but if I told you everything, every detail, it would take forever, but short term, it definitely taught me
a
lot. Like, you learned so much about yourself you didn't even know you could learn, you know.
Right.
You learn your resilience level, how resilient you can be.
That's a big thing.
You learn just like you can't sit there and complain about anything. You really have to just focus on what you need to get done. How am I going to get it done, and hope for the best, you know.
Right.
And just keep driving on sort of thing.
Yeah,
for sure. That's crazy.
I also find it particularly like interesting that so we were all very similar creatures as we were growing up. We're all just kind of like goofballs in our own way. And we weren't like thinking things through at all, but somehow being totally separate from us, you found your way to almost the same sorts of like lessons and like resources. Like when we started talking, I mean there was like JP, like the Rogan stuff, and that's not saying like crazy because a lot of people watch Rogan, but the very fact that you came to like these same sort of principles that we did, and it took us all like our own path, and we just ended up on the same sort of overarching road.
Right.
Like I wonder if it's some sort of, I don't know, like natural growing process for an adult male in this time to like find and search for those resources, or if it's like more of a unique perspective that we all just kind of shared when we were younger.
For sure. Well, I mean, I guess it makes some sense because even when we were younger and we hung out a lot, like we were all kind of in a similar, like on a similar trajectory where it was like we wanted to know more about life.
Yep.
You know, like all of us were like, hey, like we want to do something bigger than ourselves. You know, we want to like understand reality more. We want to
chasing dreams.
Yeah, right.
That's what they call it, chasing dreams.
Right, exactly. Like we all wanted to do that and get to that point. So it kind of makes sense that we all lined up in that direction of a lot of the resources that we had for our personal growth, I guess, internally.
I guess when you're ready, the teacher appears kind of thing. Mm-hmm. When we're ready for the information, it just kind of appeared in front of us, sort of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's interesting.
What do you think about like the universe? And we haven't like prepped Kevo at all. I honestly wanted to see what was going to happen.
Tell us the secrets of the universe.
And we also did not give Kevo any, or Kevon, sorry. See, it's super ingrained in me.
It's okay, I forgive you.
Oh, thank you. We didn't give him any heads up on like the stuff we were going to ask. And he's given us some good advice that for future guests, you might want to give him a little bit of prep about what's going on.
Right.
It would help.
Still kind of bad at this, so thanks for bearing with us. Mm-hmm. But like, what do you think about like life, the universe, and everything?
Well, to start, 2020 really sucks. So,
okay.
Let's start there.
It's already. Oh.
The universe, I don't know. I kind of think 2020 and Inception. Do you remember the movie Inception?
Yes, yes, I do.
For those that you have seen it, a dream collapses, right? The dream collapses when he's starting to wake up. Mm-hmm. Basically, that's kind of what's going on in the world. And that's the scary part. Like, there was rioting, protests in the movie when, stuff was happening. But I really think, like, we're changing into some kind of different
form, right, or something.
Some kind of form as to where, like, life was simple. Life was just A, B, and C.
Yeah.
And then you're thrown into this horrible curveball with a virus that, in our lifetime, we have never dealt with anything like this in our life.
Yeah. And then, even in our parents' generation.
In our parents,
It's unprecedented for our history, like, as far as we're concerned with, like, the, like, people to ask about stuff,
Right.
Yeah. So it's kind of like we're diving into the unknown. And if you're not prepared, if you don't, like Jordan Peterson says, if your room is not clean, you don't know what
messy.
It's gonna.
Yeah, I mean, super universal truth right there.
Yeah, that like we're in this. That's something that one of the people that we listen to, Teal Swan, somebody that we can probably send you, but she does a lot of like emotional, spiritual work and stuff. Kind of along the lines of Jordan Peterson stuff, but not. A little bit more like woo woo.
Well, I like I sort of, and there's critics of Teal Swan and everything like that too, and I respect their viewpoints. But from what Jordan Peterson has given in the realm of like discipline and like just like lessons about how to manage yourself as a man in this like life. Teal Swan gives those same tools in the way of how to manage your emotions and understanding your spirituality and stuff. So it's handy.
Right.
It took that's a lot of the fucked up stuff in our worlds was aided in using some of those methods, and for better or for worse, the methods helped us.
Yeah, for sure. And like going back into what I was saying, it's kind of like a something that she was saying at the beginning of 2020, which I thought was really interesting. Before all this craziness happened, she was saying something along the lines of like, this is going to be a year where the people who have done the work are not going to have too hard of a time because they kind of they see what's happening in the world. They understand things a little bit more. And like, not to say that it's not like mind-blowing and crazy to watch what's happening, but we're not like in emotional despair, right? Like looking at everything. The main thing is the people who haven't done the work, I guess you could say, are a little bit more on the edge of severe emotional pain, scared of everything, no matter which side you're on. Like, it doesn't matter. And so that's a good point, that we're kind of like in this place where it's like, all right, like either level up or like get fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, it's like one or the other. So that's kind of like where we're sitting right now. I kind of wanted to bring it back though, because we only like we grazed over like the idea of you being a dad, I guess, and we didn't really get to.
There's a lot more.
Yeah, there's a lot more there. Otherwise, like aside from like it's crazy, guys.
Is it this one? Haha.
Yes,
First
get
guess.
it. Fantastic.
Nice. Buttons.
But so basically, you find out, hey, I'm gonna be a dad, and it's just like, whoa, what does that feel like? Like when you first found out, like that's like, hey, this is gonna happen, and it like. It first sets in where it's like, I'm gonna be a dad. Like, what does that feel like?
Dad. Mm-hmm. So first off, if you know what I recommend is if you're having a kid, plan for it. You know, be prepared. Like, you always want to make sure you set yourself up for success. That's my number one tip. But for me, I was not ready. Not in the slightest bit whatsoever.
I couldn't even imagine doing that at the age you handled it, man.
Yeah.
I think I was 20 years old. Yeah, I think.
Jeez.
But just not being prepared, not being ready. I fell off my seat. Like as soon as I heard drop to the floor, I was in belief. And it's something where somebody tells you something and it doesn't register. It doesn't click. It's like, oh, that's a problem that I'll fall asleep and it'll be gone tomorrow.
That can't be reality.
That can't be right. I'm going to sleep. I'll wake up. Life will be normal.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's something that you can't escape. And I mean, it's not like you want to escape from it.
It's just life changing.
It's a life change. Yes.
Right.
Life just got real.
Yeah, right.
As soon as that happens. So
it's like you wake up and you learned that you have some crazy superpower or something.
It's like, nah.
Yeah.
And it's like there's no like what? I can levitate objects with my hands? Like, it's like there's no way this is real. Like what is happening? And it just never like sets it. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Was it like after is it something? What was the process, I guess, of preparing for it before she actually had the kid? Like, was there a process like while she was pregnant that you were like, all right, like I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but
the whole time.
were you in Wisconsin or California at that time?
So I moved out to California to be an actor, filmmaker, all the chasing their dreams.
Yeah.
But I was living with my grandma at the time.
Right.
We didn't have our own place. We were living there rent free. You know, I got lucky.
Yeah.
But as soon as everyone found out, they're like, so we don't want kids here living with us, so you gotta get your own place. So on top of just finding out you're about to have a kid, finding out you have nothing prepared, not even money financially, not prepared, it's like, okay, now go do it. So, all right, hold on. I'm gonna lose my mind here, but it's all about attitude. I think just staying positive, making sure that you again take care of yourself and just know like what do you need versus what do you want.
Right.
So what is the child, what is he gonna absolutely need right away? What can family members help out with?
Right.
Stuff like that. So
it was just that instantaneous. As soon as you found out the kid was like on its way and everything, you were like, it's no longer about me, it's about this.
Yes. Oh
Damn.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think part of the reason it's hard for us to comprehend this whole parenthood thing is because we just haven't been parents before.
Yeah.
And like that thing that evidently clicks in your brain where it's like, okay, this is it. It's not about me anymore. It's the child. Like that hasn't happened, so it's hard for us to.
It's almost like if you go into like the idea that like anytime that you have like a raising in consciousness or you like see something new in your reality that like sparks like a growth in awareness, I guess. There's no way to really understand what that's like until you have it happen to you.
And then once it happens, there's no going back.
And so it's almost like the process of having a kid itself, almost like it's like a fast track to
super adulthood.
It's super adulthood or like in awareness and like self-awareness and being like, hey, like now there's these things I got to do, like no matter how I feel. So Yeah, that's
Damn,
interesting.
Man. And then while you were in California and you managed to find, like, dealing with all this, you found yourself a place, you took care of all the fucking bills, and I'm glossing over how much it must have, like, broken you, and, like, how difficult it must have been, and, like, the type of painful growth that you must have gone through. But when did you have your second child? Like, that's even more flabbergasting. Like, the first caught you off guard, and it was like, okay, all right, I can do this. And then the second one was like, we're going in to double down.
Double down on the children.
Full house. I'm all in. No, I mean, I don't want to make it to be where it's negative.
No.
Parenthood can be such a beautiful thing. It's a blessing. It's absolutely amazing. Just for my story, my journey as a person, it wasn't always sunshine and daisies. You know? It wasn't perfect. Was it horrible? The worst experience I've ever had? No. No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
But it taught me how to be a man. It was something that I needed. You know.
Yeah.
The divine creator of the universe, who created me, who created the earth, was like, this needs to happen. This and this, you know, works out.
For sure.
Sort of like a destiny fate thing. You just felt like it was important for your life path that these children come into it and help you grow to be the person you are today.
For sure.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. It was beautiful. I mean, it taught me, like I said, everything about me that I never knew that I could do. It also forced me and motivated me to kind of look at, okay, where are the gaps that I'm missing? You know, like, stop digging a deeper hole for yourself. Figuratively.
That one took us a longer period of time to learn. We kept on digging. We were like, we're gonna find fucking gold, and then we were like, there's no gold in this hole.
Hit the center of the earth eventually.
You just keep going.
Yeah.
You know? But the second child, I think it was more of my thought process was like, well, a lot of parents maybe have it, a lot of them might disagree, but it was kind of like, well, we have one, they need a brother or sister kind of thing, you know. It's like it was an adventure to have one kid, you know. It was an experience, but let's see what happens, you know. So then my daughter was born, and it was like, wow, now we have two kids, you know.
Right.
And congratulations on both of them.
Yeah, for sure.
That's fucking amazing. I can't even imagine the feels you have as like having two beautiful, healthy children and being like a father who's like experiencing them grow up. Like, oh God, what a fucking trip. What's it been? Oh, I'm sorry. Please continue.
No, I was just gonna point out I'm getting gray hair and balding.
Oh, really?
Oh, hey, me too. Me too.
I don't have gray hair. I have luscious.
Of course, you have luscious locks still.
Yeah, I have tons.
Just wait till you have kids.
I have tons of gray hair now at this point. Like, it's insane how much I have. But
go ahead.
Oh, fuck. What was I gonna say? You guys wouldn't know because it's in my brain, and my brain is floating around out here in space.
Yeah, it was something before you were talking about, like, the second kid.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to ask, like, what's it been like seeing them grow? Because we don't have any perspective on that either. Like, we just kind of, like, grew up, and then we saw, like our younger cousins, or in your case, your, like, younger siblings, like, grow up, and, like, I can't imagine, like, having a baby. Like a tiny little baby, and then watching that turn into a little tiny conscious, like, drunk person, and you're like, what's up? I'm gonna take care of you. Like, not that way. Stop touching that. Get that out of your mouth. Like,
I think the funniest part, well, the most enjoyable, is just seeing your kids do things that you've done before.
Oh, my God.
Not the parts where it's like you have to yell at them, but you know, like, you would have done that as a kid, or you've done that before, but I think it's just seeing them like, yeah, I did that, you know, like, he's my kid. He's getting into stuff, climbing stuff, you know, adventurous. I think that's just the coolest part, is to see, like, half of you and half somebody, and, like, just see like that's you. That's a clone of you, you know,
Weird.
and someone else, and it's just funny to see like that mesh together.
That is a crazy thought.
Weird and beautiful and very weird.
That's a super crazy thought to think about, like a kid just being like a little clone of you, like a literal like that's half me. That's half me.
Like
what?
I've noticed like when I like am around my father and stuff, that we'll do like similar mannerisms. Like we'll both do like this kind of thing, or like when he puts his legs like up, like there's only a slight difference to like when I do it and everything. Are your kids doing that too? Like they start like mimicking mannerisms?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like just how they do their daily routines, like playing with toys, for example. It's like, oh, you know, I played with my toys like that. It's crazy.
It's like they innately know. Just like the normal stuff that you did just like carries through some. That's so bizarre.
Right.
I always thought it was like me picking up on like what my father did or something like that, but there's a lot of stuff that I wasn't around.
It's in your DNA.
You just like you're just copies.
Right.
We're just all little copies.
Right. And that circles back to a little bit where we started going earlier about like it being in your DNA, right? Like they're saying now that there's actual like generational like memories built into your DNA. Like
Really?
like there's actual like, say like your ancestors from like 500 years ago or whatever had some really traumatic thing happen to them. There's actually pieces of your DNA that hold those like traumatic events or like really intense emotional experiences, that it's actually held in their DNA. So you can have like cycles of like generations of people that have like emotional stuff going on internally.
Like a fucking fear of snakes.
Like it's like that. It's like, you know how like a lot of people like naturally have this fear of snakes? That's mostly because it's like a instinct. It's like
a heritage instinct.
It's like built in your DNA to see a snake and be afraid of it.
Right.
Or like cats to chase a mouse. It's in your instincts, right? That's built in the DNA. Well, they're finding out that like actual emotional experiences like from generations beforehand like actually like reside like within us, which is super fucking crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah. Do
Really?
you have any like innate fears? Because I think everybody knows I'm not partial to danger noodles, but
snakes.
Snakes, no. What's your worst fear?
Oh, worst fear.
Worst fear ever. Like, what are you absolutely afraid
This is
of?
going to get depressing, though. I'm not particularly scared of my death. I'm scared of being the last, watching all the people I love and care about and not being able to do anything about it and being the last one.
Like watch everybody die.
That's probably my biggest fear. Because I mean, self-preservation be damned. Like I would happily go to like prevent someone else going, because I don't know why. It's just kind of, it's in my brain.
It's like a thing that you got.
Yeah, it's just a thing I have to deal with. But like the idea of like not being able to protect like one of you guys or something like that and having to see you, like that's like another level of fuck. Like I'd fucking punch an anaconda in the face. I'd just wrestle that thing to the ground and be like, not now, not today, motherfucker. And he'd be like,
So Grant was a Roman warrior, reincarnated.
Yeah.
ooh.
What about you? What's your worst fear?
My worst fear. Oh man,
This is good. I don't even know.
Good.
Yeah.
This is good. My worst fear, honestly, I'm afraid of like ending up the worst version of myself on my deathbed. Ending up where I had all of these dreams, I had all of these hopes, I had all these things I wanted to accomplish and do and see, and having not done them because of fear.
That's like a close second or third.
Having not gone and done the hard thing and did something extraordinary because I was afraid. And like laying in my deathbed, just being like, well,
I wish I would have.
I wish I did something different, but here's the end. That is my absolute worst fear. Like that's guaranteed.
So not experiencing the full kind of like life that you always hope to dream.
Right. Or at least it doesn't even have to be like exactly what I envisioned. Just like
going for it.
The main thing is I want to know that I took risks and I did difficult things and I accomplished things that pushed my limits or pushed my boundaries, you know? And I guess that like you almost automatically get that with the kids thing, you know, where it's just like bam.
You absolutely could not have failed because you have these little fucking monsters, these little gem monsters that exist that are part of you. And it's like, whatever I do in my life, at least these things are around. I can be fucking proud of that.
Yeah. That, I mean, you know, gem monsters is a good way to put them, but no, it's awesome. It kind of goes with like how, like you said, where you wish you could have just fulfilled all your hopes and dreams before, you know, and that's important with having kids. Make sure you go for it. Make sure you you live your life as much as you can to the fullest extent before you have kids.
Right.
Because when you have kids, that, depending on your financial situation like me, that kind of goes out the window and it kind of gets put on the back burner.
You reorganize.
You know, adjust. You just kind of go like, well, there's a time and place for that. Right now, the most important thing is enjoying life with these kids, giving them the best childhood because they only have one childhood.
And props to you, dude, that you stood up and you're a father that can be proud of. Like, fucking goddamn, dude. I am so proud of the person that you are.
Thank you.
Like, goddamn, I don't think I could have done it.
Yeah.
I think, oh damn.
So why do you think you can't do it? Why do you think you can't?
I think that someday I might be. Ooh, this is a hard hitting one too.
Yeah.
Ooh, Kevon with the.
I'm just gonna ask you guys questions. You know,
we didn't come up with proper ones for him, so he's just gonna turn
them
the
all
tables.
lined up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think in a large part, I'm just kind of like a flop around failure. Like I've tried. I like to think about it this way, and it's been said to me, and that's why I kind of stole it, but I have tried and failed at more things than most people do, like try, you know? And that might sound good in theory, but I've had like 2 failed businesses. I've gotten offers to do amazing things, and I said no because I was scared. I did really hard things, and then I hit like a fucking depression wall, and I had to like reorganize and like be like, okay, so if I keep doing this, I'm gonna end up killing myself because it just makes me so unhappy. And I just like repeatedly all my life, it just run into all these failures, and it made me feel like I couldn't do a parenthood thing. Like one of my worst fears about it is that I don't want to let like my child down. Like you somehow rose to the occasion. I'm scared I can't. I'm scared that's like I do things and then oftentimes I stop, and there's no stopping when you have a kid. So honestly, dude, I am fucking terrified, and I'm kind of amazed that you can do this.
Yeah. I think maybe that's like a part of the process though, of like when you have the kid, it is no longer an option to stop. That it's like it gives you that just thruster behind you where it's like, you know what, it's not about you anymore. So you're tired? Oh well. You know, like, so you don't want to do this thing? Oh well, you're gonna do it. You know, like it puts that fire under your ass to get beyond the fear of those things and to like just push beyond your comfort. And like it's like, oh, I don't feel like going to work today. It's like, well, I can't risk not. Like I have to. Like I have to do it. Like there's no like if, ands, or but. Like it's like that child right there has a mouth that needs food in it, and it is like me going to work or not going to work is a matter of like that kid eating or not. So it puts that under you where it's like, I gotta do the thing, you know.
Fuck, maybe I should have had a child.
Maybe it's never too late.
Let me just break the fourth wall and go for a little bit.
Yeah. But that's what it seems like to me. That's like the best representation I can get of what it seems like to have a kid. And I think the big misconception is that like if you have a kid, that it's like you have to give up on like wanting to do bigger things. You know, like I don't think that's true. I think it just requires a more methodical approach. You know, like if you want to like expand your career, or you want to do something that's like, you know, something along the lines of this, right? Like putting out a podcast or doing something along those lines. It requires a more calculated and methodical approach to do those things, but it doesn't mean that it's impossible to do them.
Right.
You know, and if anything, it almost gives you like more drive and motivation to do those things when you're limited.
Yep.
You know?
You have to sacrifice a lot. It's definitely sacrificing the short term for a better long term. Yeah, you know, so you're sacrificing your fun time that you'd be having, enjoying life, you know, that you still enjoy life. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's fun in it. And again, it's all about financially pre-planning, getting it all squared away. I mean, there's so much to it. It's not just you just have a kid. It's like you got to know your partner, how their parenting styles are. You got to learn what your parenting styles are. Like, hash out literally every detail that you possibly can before you have a kid. I mean, just like that will save you so many arguments or problems in your relationship with your partner because you're on the same page. Being on the same page is absolutely key to parenting, and that's one thing I wish I could have done better. Yeah. And again, you learn from your mistakes.
You learn on the job.
You learn on the job by doing it, you know, not by thinking about it, you know.
Yeah, for sure. It's like getting trained on the job.
Yeah.
Jeez.
For sure. That's nuts. And that goes along somewhat of the lines of, you know, like all three of us are pretty big Jordan Peterson fans.
Yes.
And which is amazing. But you know, he talks a lot about, like, you know, it's not the future or the thing that everybody like tends to look at life being, like wanting these like series of like elation moments of just like super happy, awesome, like life is great, like all the time, like that's what the story of our life is supposed to be, right? But it's so, that's like a very narrow view, I think, of what it means to be a human in general. Like it's more about like meaning, you know, like what he talks about. It's more about like how can I make my existence here mean something?
Yeah.
So then when Grant goes, when we go back to what Grant was saying about like being afraid of like watching everybody around him die as we age and get old, right? Like that being like a big fear. It's like, if you live your life to the degree where you have that meaning, like you've developed a sense of that meaning, that's not going to be as big of an issue like later in life, because like, and that's another big key of like why having a family is pretty important, because when you're on your deathbed and you're like, yeah, you know, I watched all my friends go and I watched all my friends pass, but look, I have these kids, they're doing fantastic, and they have kids and they're doing fantastic. Like, look what I set up. Like, look what I did. Like,
look at my dynasty.
Like
and it'll take over the world.
Like, I created this thing that's going to go on after me. And
it's like the most beautiful thing that a human can do.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like the single most meaningful thing you can do, because it's like you're sending yourself like through time, you know, and once you're gone.
And I think it's like more satisfying because it's hard. Like when like we're going back to like the elation, like life's supposed to be this elation moment kind of thing, and that's not really true. It's like, because there's so many like trying moments with children, I think it like builds up how much more important they are, like aside from like what they really are, and how it like goes through all of time and like spreads continually. It's like I went through like all of those hard moments, all of that like difficulty, all the sacrifice and everything, and it's like every time you look at them you're like, fuck yeah. Yeah.
Right, like I have this thing, you know. Yeah, that's crazy though. That's like and I never used to think that way, you know. I never used to like understand that idea. And Jordan Peterson's really the one that kind of brought that idea to my attention, where it was like, hey, like maybe there's more to this than I thought there was, because I was more focused on like, oh, like I want like an unlimited amount of money and everybody to like me and all of these things, and then like I want this almost like the fame trap, you know, where it's like I want to be like just loved and have unlimited resources, and it's like, man, like people that have that still kill themselves, man.
That's
like
true.
It's not about that. Like it's not about those things. It's about doing things that are meaningful and impactful and
filled with love.
Right, exactly, and like making a positive impact on the world. And if doing that is through creating a family and kids that go on without you, after you're gone, that like have positive impacts and do positive things in the world, like it's like that's it. It's like it goes out like a spider web and exponentially grows. Like you see that what's it called? There's a commercial. It's not just this commercial, but where like one person is having a bad day and then one person does something nice for someone, and then that like replicates and replicates and replicates.
Kind of like pay it forward.
Right. Like
everyone,
if you do something nice for one person, that person does something nice for someone, and then it like spreads out in this exponential growth of like good things happening.
Right.
It's like having kids and doing right by them is kind of like that. You create this like massive tree of exploding like goodness going forward into time, like something that was of your creation or of your intention, like of your work.
Well, if you're out there being a stand-up good father and you're caring about your kids like Mr. Kevon here, then yeah, you send out these ripples of good. But I think if you like shy away from it, like I'm scared of doing, like you could potentially send out ripples of evil. Ripples of evil. Can you imagine a bunch of evil little Grant spawn monsters going around? They would destroy everything. Everything good in the world would be gone.
That's funny you mentioned that. Like me and the mother of my children, we're talking about kind of like what we fear, and like we said, what's our biggest fears? And one of them was our kids growing up to be criminals or drug addicts or like psychopathic,
like some like grown version of like some sort of accidental like neglect or something like that.
Yeah, like I think that's up there with our top fears, and especially you fear that in parenting. Some of the most notorious psychopath killers, they've said, well, my parents loved me, I just had these urges. I think that's one of the scariest parts as well. Like Ted Bundy, I think said that, or Jeffrey Dahmer
for sure.
But I think that's what keeps me up at night is like, okay, am I doing this right? Am I being the right father? Did I give them enough love today? Was I yelling at them too much? Was I too aggressive, in my demeanor? And I think that as far as like, who are they going to grow up to be?
Yeah.
It's the unknown. It's the chaos and order of the world.
Yeah.
And it's just so unknown with how you're doing as a parent.
Yeah, like that's the chaotic aspect of it.
Yeah.
And your interaction with them is you trying to create order, like in that process. That's really interesting because a lot of like going back to like the Ted Bundy thing that you were saying, it's interesting. A lot of people don't really. They don't ask themselves the questions that you're asking yourself right now. So I think the process of doing that means that you're in the right place.
Yeah, just because you're aware enough to like be going to bed and be like,
did I do this right?
Did I do this right?
Like that means that you're in the right spot and you're doing the right things.
Okay,
like if you
want our expert parenting opinions.
I'm listening to you guys. You guys are the experts.
We definitely have credentials on this because we've got like 10 viewers online. That makes us professionals.
Yeah. And we have 2 cats.
2 cats. Yeah, that makes
cats, kids, same thing.
Same thing. But just the idea or just the fact that you're aware of it, that you're asking yourself that question, and like I think that's what's going to make you successful. Is just the awareness in the first place means you're winning. It means that you're doing well, because I think the problem that people get stuck in is they get trapped in these patterns of behavior and
like
thinking,
unconscious behavior,
like unconsciously, like it's like their subconscious mind is controlling their everyday life, and they're not like, it's almost like they're living in a dream and they're not in control. They're just in constant reaction to what's going on around them, rather than doing like self-observation. Self-observation is the like one thing that that humans can do to help facilitate change within themselves. Like, you could have no teachers, no anything, but if you have the ability to be conscious and aware and like look internally and analyze your own actions and your own self, you can teach yourself things over and over and over again and continuously become better, like all of the time, just because you're self-aware. Like, you're looking at yourself. You're like, hey, and you can recognize and say, well, I did this thing and this turned out this way, you know, and it's like almost like being humble in a way. You know?
Hang on. So our group of friends kind of formed in middle school, you know. We're probably going to have Eric on at some point. We might get Critchy up in this place. And, like, basically our core group of friends, like, formed in middle school. And I'm starting to wonder, maybe it's that we recognized some sort of, like, self-awareness in each other. And we were like, hey, same. Whereas, like, other people were, like, deliberately treating people poorly or, like, bullying. And we were all just like, stop. What are you doing? Yeah. And then because we all saw, like, in the corners of the room, we were all like, hey, don't do that. We all, like, came together when they stopped, like, being jerks. And we were like, friends?
Yeah.
Why not?
I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense. The thing is, like, we've always, like, our core friend group, we've always been in the position to, like being curious about, like, our lives and just being like, hey, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do?
We spent those nights at Johnny V's being idiots and just talking about, like, everything and nothing. Just being like, what's going on?
Look at us now.
Look at us now. Right. Now we're sitting in our own place drinking coffee, talking about, like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. But now instead we're recording it.
And we've got mics, which makes it professional. Winning.
Yeah. For sure.
I want to say, though, I want to point out it's kind of depressing, and I don't want to be negative, but I've noticed after high school, when you hang out with friends, each time you get more and more distant, which is it's just peculiar to me. You know, it's very odd because you would think, I mean, it does happen. You guys kind of branch off to your different lives. Like, you moved far away. You had your things going on. I moved really far away. But every time we got together, it was like the best time.
It's like
I've had in a while.
It's like nothing changes.
Right, nothing changes. Nothing ever happened. You're still the same core person you are. But then you don't see each other for 2 years.
Right.
And then the next time, month, you know, or vice versa.
Sure.
But
it's like this. I know what you're saying. I've noticed that too. That happens, and I don't. A lot of times I blame myself for it. You know, where I'm like, oh, well, why am I not reaching out? Why am I not doing this thing? Why am I not doing this thing? And I think there's like everybody is kind of internalizing that all together, and then nobody does anything about it. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's just kind of in the same boat where it's like, well,
I could reach out to these people that I really, really love and enjoy, but instead I'm just going to be sad that I haven't done it.
Kind of, yeah, literally.
There's a certain, like, beauty in self-sadness that we're all just kind of like, I'd rather just be miserable.
Right.
Kind of. It's kind of like that because I'm really curious about, like, why things happen like that, because sometimes I feel like personally responsible where I should be, like, pushing a little bit harder to, like, do these types of things. And it's almost like life is just so chaotic and there's so many things going on in angles that it's like every time you try and add something else in there, or it's like, oh, I have to keep up with this friendship, I have to keep up with this relationship now and do this hassle thing that it is, and it's not that it wouldn't bring awesome good things. It's more so that it's like it almost feels like you have this responsibility to your friends. Right. You almost have this responsibility to your friends to be like, well, hey, if we're going to have this friendship and this relationship, that means that, like, we have to put effort and energy into doing it.
Right.
And when we're all like, hey, we're here being adults trying to just fucking survive in the world, you know, like, we don't get to, you know, live at home with our parents anymore and just like la-di-da all the time and go around and drive and, you know, just dick around like
good old stupid days.
Now we're all a little bit more focused on life, and the friend stuff almost kind of like fades away a little bit, which is sad.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It's sad. And I think that's why us doing this thing is I want to use it as like a tool, you know, because it's like, hey, we're doing this thing and I want it to be a tool to do this, you know, to do this thing, to like reconnect like where we were. Like it might not be like perfect, but I think it can do something along those lines.
I think it's not the same, but like you were saying earlier, Kevon, we're still the same, like the cores still reside, and those cores are what found each other in our early life.
Right.
And it's kind of unavoidable. Like when we're together, it feels like, I don't know about you guys, but it feels like no time has fucking passed for me.
Yeah.
I still love you the exact fucking same.
Yeah.
It's just like mind-boggling that you're like the person that you are, that you've done the things you have. Because Jordan and I have pretty much like been on like a similar journey, just kind of like parallel. Sometimes one of us pulls ahead of the other and they're like, okay, so this is coming your way, prepare yourself for the shitstorm. And then I hit the shitstorm, and then I'll tell him, oh hey, no, this shitstorm's coming for you. And he's like, okay. But like you've been on this like different path, and it's like I want to know everything, but also I probably shouldn't know everything.
No, it's a life, man. Just like life in general is just it's so much more than I ever expected it would be when I was a kid. You know, there's so much more complexity and nuance to being a human than what I thought it was going to be.
Well, yeah, most of the most difficult things I've come across have all been me too. Like it's one thing that I've had to deal with, like situations in my life, you know, like poverty, figuring out where the fuck I'm gonna live,
right?
Like where am I gonna work now, like how am I gonna survive, like all these things. Like those, honestly, when they're physical problems, you can do something about them. The biggest and most tumultuous problems I've come up have been me, and it's been this like I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting me to be the biggest roadblock in my life, but that seems to be the case, and it's because of people like Jordan Peterson and Teal Swan that I've like slowly gathered these tools in order to like fix me, which allows me to do all the physical stuff better. I didn't fucking expect life to be like that.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why, like, when I first found Jordan Peterson, I was like absolutely blown away by him.
Oh yeah,
like when I first started watching him, I was in a really dark time, you know, a dark spot, because I was like, all of the things that I was afraid of, that I was saying earlier about becoming like failing all of the time and not being able to like have a meaningful life or feel happy or any of those things, like I had the wrong vision of what I wanted that to be.
Right.
And now I'm much clearer, you know. It's a lot clearer now that it's like, oh, like I don't need like this extravagant existence. Like I can live simply and still be profound and like meaningful and impactful.
Still find meaning in life, right?
Right, like, and still be impactful without this profound aspect. It's interesting. It's interesting how we all kind of came to the same conclusions.
Well, I kind of cheated because you handed me Jordan Peterson.
I'm pretty sure that I've handed you a majority of the...
Well, yeah. I've handed you some stuff. I just can't remember it.
Yeah, for sure. Like a lot... Well, the thing... That's kind of like how like mine and Grant's friendship goes. Like, I remember the very first time I got like super into conspiracy theories, right? Like, like hardcore
right
into
around
like
2011, 2012.
like we're run by secret lizard people and crazy shit like that, right? And I remember,
well, 2020, you never know.
It's 2020, man. But
this motherfucker comes down to my house, kicks open the door, and he's like, "The world is a matrix. We live in the fucking matrix, man."
Yeah,
you're not too far off there.
He wasn't too far off.
No, I definitely am on the same page with that.
Yeah, I started there, and it brought me to like more like it just got me to question reality.
Yeah, and that was like the biggest step in our young minds, is that instead of being like, oh yeah, we can trust everything that's coming our way, like everything is true, blah 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 blah, it was like we heard some stuff and then we were like, wait, And then we started questioning everything. We were like, everything is fucking dirty. It's all dirty. And are these lizard fingerprints? I don't know. We need to investigate this.
Isn't that crazy though?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't think of that stuff when you're young.
No.
You're worried about girls and, partying, having fun, and your dreams,
Right. Am I going to get a girl to like me?
That's fucking pre-programming they put us on, man. The fact that like that's all that matters to you, and then suddenly you're just into the workforce, and it's like gotta grind. Oh, I have children. Gotta grind harder.
Basically, I mean, you take the red pill when Morpheus hands out the pills to Neo. You take the red pill, and you're awakened to this reality, and you just go, holy hell, what's going on here? Like you're dropped in this life, and you're like thinking, where am I? How did I get here? You have all this curiosity that just burns in your brain, and then you start reading books. I mean, I've never been an avid reader ever.
I remember that.
Right. I hated books, did not care for it, took them for granted.
Hated books and vegetables.
Vegetables and books, and now I'm all for it. All for books and vegetables.
Whoa!
Man, that's the mind-blowing one.
That's the biggest thing.
Right.
This man had not eaten a vegetable aside from a potato for the entirety that we knew him, and now he eats vegetables. The world is changing. I can feel it in the water.
Yep.
Man, growth is happening, man.
It's just crazy how much you take for granted certain things that have been missing in your whole life.
For sure.
I mean, like, for me, an example, like what I think or what I have a theory is kind of like books are information that is not in your brain, correct? Right? So when you read it, you learn it, and then you apply it, and that's when the real learning begins, is applying the things that you've learned and looking at when you fail or when you succeed at it. Yeah. And that's kind of what happened with Jordan Peterson. Reading about Jordan Peterson, the 12 rules of life, I was just like, wow, I really wish someone taught me this or gave me this book when I was growing up.
When I was like 15.
When I was 15. I mean,
God, how useful would that be?
Exactly.
Right.
Like,
but good luck getting your 15-year-old self to read a self.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Let's burn this shit.
This isn't about girls.
Right.
But I bet you we could put fireworks on it.
Yeah. Right.
But it's so useful now, and it's ridiculous how there's so many other books out there that are like that can teach you, like, oh, this is how I've got my mindset wrong. This is like, you guys, you know me my whole life. I was the most negative person.
You were kind of
in the world. I mean,
a little bit.
It was bad, and you don't realize that. You don't realize how negative your outlook is on any situation until you read a book about it, and then it's just an awakening.
It's like it's this epiphany. It's like people have been giving you this stuff, and it's like nah, and then when you read it, it's like this epiphany happens in your brain, and you're like, oh, well, shit, I can add that to my toolbox.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can add it to your database, and then you apply it and you learn from it. And I think that has been the most successful thing that has helped me through depression. Like you said, you had depression and hard times, suffering. We all suffer. We all have our own journeys that really just drag us to a deep, dark place. Yeah. And books that you can really take something from it and change your whole life, your whole perspective, your whole consciousness. That to me is like the most mind-blowing thing that I've come across, and that's where it is absolutely crazy that you guys are kind of on that same page where you've had that epiphany.
Yeah, for sure. That's like it's like there's something about awareness that is just so important, because it's like information, man. Like, information is awareness almost, because we all get trapped in these just like we live out of our subconscious, right?
Right.
Like we're not when you're not aware or you're not conscious of yourself or your own behavior, you're not really even living as a there we go. We got it. You're not like Like living on autopilot is not a good idea. It's not a good idea because you go down the same paths over and over and over again, and you end up coming to the same result over and over and over again. And it's always hurtful. It's always suffering, and it's always hard.
And we've talked about like building those neural pathways, like the field and everything, where like as you're autopiloting, you're just digging this field better and better and better, and suddenly it's like this fucking pathway is paved. Yeah. Like it's so easy to just stroll down this way, you don't even give it a thought, and it's even harder when you've been going down it opposed to like, oh, I'm unaware and this is the first time, and then you're like, wait, this path might not be like that's not where I'm going. I'm trying to go over there. And you're able to recorrect.
For sure. Yeah, and I think a lot of people get caught in that trap, and then they end up being bitter people, you know?
Resentful, bitter, angry at the world.
Right, hateful people, and they unknowingly inflict pain on other people around them just because they're seeing the world through this tainted lens of of pain and suffering, and they're not even aware of how they're contributing to that themselves, you know, how their internal processes are like creating this just chaotic hell that they live in. And like, you know, those people when you meet them, man, like, you know them, where they're just like a ball of like negative energy, and like they're always like mad at everything. Nothing is like
projecting everything
else.
Else.
Like all of their problems are because this person is a piece of shit and that person's a piece of shit, and all these fucked up things are happening. It's like and those people, like, I mean, people end up not wanting to be around him because they're like living in that situation,
and then they get bitter, and
then they're like, well, now nobody likes me, like everyone's an asshole, like all these things are happening. It's like, man,
sounds a lot like me back in the day.
In your early years, perhaps a little bit.
You were like literally describing me.
But hey man, that's like,
we all had those moments too. I did the same thing when I moved out to Colorado. When I just felt alone and everything. Sometimes it's kind of unavoidable too. Like you find yourself in life just in this situation, and then you're like, because you can't get that fulfillment anywhere, you start just like, and then when someone does reach out, it's like,
exactly.
You're like,
oh, I'm not gonna reach out to that person.
I'm not gonna touch that shit.
Yeah.
But it's just that goes back to that fucking self-awareness. Like if you have self-awareness, you can literally fix like anything.
A majority of the things in your life. Like JP says, man, there are a lot of things in life that are ambiguous and weird and don't make sense, and a lot of bad things happen to people just randomly, but a very large portion of the suffering in your life can be remedied through self-change and self-observation and realizing your own, you know, toxic behaviors and the patterns within yourself that are creating those things. It's one of the absolute most difficult things you'll ever do in your life, because you have to look at yourself and say, hey, like, I'm fucked up. There's things wrong with me. This isn't everybody else's fault. Like, there's stuff I gotta change.
You gotta fight the dragon.
Yeah, to get the gold, man, you gotta fight the dragon.
No, you're on to something there. I mean, that's exactly what I battled with when I found out I was having a kid. You know, like I had my dreams and goals, and I had the entitlement and the ego that I'm entitled to have a really good life. Like I deserve a good life because my life has been shitty, or I thought my life was crappy growing up, and then I'm supposed to have a better life, and that doesn't always happen. It doesn't. You're not guaranteed a happy, perfect life that you dreamed of, and that's where you have to learn. You have to be aware of that. You have to be okay with it. Otherwise, it will literally destroy you. It'll make your life chaotic. So
it'll eat you up and spit you out, man. That's another thing what Jordan Peterson talks about. He talks about like being judged by your own ideal. Like, we all have this this idea of what the like perfect version of us would be, you know,
what it should be,
you know, the big house, the nice car, the bombshell girlfriend, you're like perfect, you got a great body,
2 million Instagram followers,
2 million Instagram followers, and like you're just like living the high life, like everyone loves you, and like you're a good person too, and you're like being impactful in the world and doing awesome things, and like you have that vision of yourself, and then you look down at who you are right now and you judge yourself, and you're like, God damn, that is not me.
And that's not judgment are like shackles to the floor.
Yeah, that judgment is just like extremely painful. You get judged by your own ideal, and it's a painful thing. And that's almost like the idea of God. You know, like that ideal of yourself is God, and it's like looking down and judging you, you know, for like all of the things you aren't right now. And it's extremely painful to have to let that ideal go and say, hey, like, maybe I should just focus on the present moment, and I should, you know, create goals that I can reach here right now.
Right.
You know, things that can make my life better right now. And as you continue to do that, like, it compounds and it compounds over time, and pretty soon, within a matter of time, you're a completely different person, you know, in a better place.
I think part of the journey that like you went on had this lesson kind of ingrained in it. Is my mic on?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, you're a little bit far-ish away from it.
My bad.
There you go.
Like this was kind of built into the lessons you learned, but it's journey before destination, which is one that I've really had to come to terms with, because not only did I like get judged by my ideals, it was like simply because I had set the bar so high for myself,
right?
And the fact that no matter how far up I perceived myself to like get closer to it, my ideal was just so friggin' far up there that it was like, I'll never get there. I'll never be good enough. I can't do. And I was shackling myself the entire time. And then it actually came from you when I was out in Colorado and I was having the worst time. I was like, I don't know what to do. I was still contemplating what I was going to do. Like I had a breakup and I wasn't sure if I was going to find a new place to live in Colorado. And the worst fear for me, and I know you felt this and you conquered it when you moved to California. You were like, this is my place. This is where I belong. That's me in Colorado.
Yep.
Like it's saying to my soul. And I know you felt the same way because we used to talk about it. And
same way.
You did the hardest fucking thing that I thought I never could do. And you were like, I got to do what's best for my family. And you moved back to the place you hated. And I had that same choice in front of me. And Jordan was like, stop worrying about like that far-reaching goal. Just worry about the next step. What are you going to do to feel better, like, and what's like attainable for you? And I was like, okay, I know you're back there, and I know I've got friends back there, like Kevon. Sorry. I'm so trained to call you Kevon. I'm sorry,
okay.
Kevon.
Totally fine.
I will work on it. And it was like, okay, the journey is that I have to do this thing that's not what I want, but what I need, and I need to come back to Wisconsin. And like it led to this. Like it was the journey of going to like through the cave to like fight the dragon, and then on the other side is this like podcasting stuff, which regardless of how the outcome is, it just makes me happy to have a passion project to work on. And I never really contemplated how much that would mean to me. I don't know.
That's good.
Just kind of rambling.
No,
rant.
That's very good. I mean, that's kind of the same situation I'm in, only like my passion, unfortunately, is work. I mean, that's not everybody's passion, or people advise against it, but it gives me meaning. It gives me purpose. I wake up every day and I'm like, how can I improve this? How can I do better than I was the day before?
Jesus.
Instead of looking at everyone else's success, everyone else's positive sides, you know,
focused on the journey.
Focus on your journey, not everyone else's. I think that was the biggest thing that taught me how to avoid slipping into depression and, you know, a really dark place. Is like, am I doing better? Just being aware of, am I doing better than I was yesterday? And sometimes you may not be. You may be doing worse. That's okay. You know, you just keep having that mindset of, hey, am I doing better than I was yesterday? And like you said, look for those passions. Look for those things, the little things that add up to a big picture of who you are as your core being and happiness.
I had a quick little thought, like all the days that you look back and you're like, okay, so I'm doing slightly better than I did yesterday. Next day, I'm doing slightly better than I did the next day. Like that exponentially like keeps increasing. And if there are days that like pop in, that's like, okay, I'm not doing as well as I did yesterday. It's like those are diminishing like negatives. Like the exponential growth of the positives is so much more impactful to your life than these diminishing little things here and there.
Right.
But for some reason, our brains remember like negative so often that sometimes in an unhealthy mind, without the concept of like journey before destination, you could be like, I'm doing shitty because I can distinctly remember 3 days this month that I did worse than I did the day before. And it's like that becomes a big thing when it's really like every day that you have like an iota more than the day before, it's like you fucking won. That's a goddamn victory that should be hailed in the halls of Valhalla. Skull.
For sure.
Your what is it called? The lobster and the subconscious. Your moral status or your hierarchy. Social.
Your hierarchy of values.
We were talking about that a little earlier today. Actually, think of it. You're getting closer to being a top lobster. You know, you may be a bottom lobster, but that's okay. You know,
someday you'll be that top lobster.
For sure. Yeah, man. It's life is a trip. Life is a trip for sure. And I think we're all here just, roaming around trying to do the best that we can, and I'm hoping that, doing this thing gives all of us a chance to reconnect, reconnect with our friends, and then be able to put something out that other people can look at and be like, oh, hey, like, I'm not alone in this world,
Like if this podcast reaches like one person who's feeling lonely and we help oh, hey, like I like them, they could be my friends, like that sort of feel like I've gotten in my dark spots.
Or like, hey, they've had similar experiences to me and they like figured stuff out and they did something, like that's good enough. That's good enough. That's all I care about. And hopefully like us sharing our experience with our friends and it does something in that regard. So
life's fucking wild.
That's what I want to do is like I told you guys, I wish somebody came up to me and just said, here, read these books. This is why you feel like crap. You think of yourself so lowly, all these things, like the law of human nature. It explains human nature in a nutshell.
Like, how fucking amazing would it be if someone like told us when we were 15, like, don't worry about girls, don't worry about parties, don't worry about job, worry about getting the tools to fix yourself and your perspective and everything. Like, if you have that toolbox filled up and you hit 18 and you're like, wow, I see a lot of people fucking up, I wonder why they're doing that. Get my tools out and just like fix the things that are broken. God.
And some of the people that are successful in life, they kind of had those tools by their parents. They kind of set them up for success with all these lessons in life. Whether it's through books that they've learned or read, or like failure. It just teaches you how to be a better person.
How exciting is it that you filled your toolbox up with all these different things and you can give your children the cheat codes?
That is the biggest thing that makes me like just so happy and wanting to learn more and more.
Is that your children will be better than you?
Exactly. That's the purpose. That's the goal of being a parent, is you want them better than you were. You want them to have a better life than you had,
Yeah.
That's the goal.
For sure. Yeah, that's fantastic. It feels really good to be able to like, see you as an old friend and be like, hey, like we're in similar spots, like, like internally and mentally, and be like, hey, he's been applying this stuff and like you're doing good things and you're curious and you want to be the best version of yourself that you possibly can be, and you're just open to it. It makes my heart happy.
Makes my heart happy.
Makes my heart very happy, because for a little while, like it felt like it was like me and Grant and maybe I had one other friend where we could discuss like I guess like the nuances of life,
the
and
nature of reality,
and like what we have to do to get better, because like I always felt like there was always this like surface value thing that a lot of people kind of like connected with people on a kind of a surface value way, and I personally just can't do that.
No, I don't.
I'm very, very bad at that.
I don't care about it anymore either. Surface value stuff doesn't matter. That's why we were excited to have like you on. Is like, we don't have to do surface shit. We can dig right into the meat of it.
Yeah,
we know that means good.
Yeah, and we can just like roll with it, because there's, and I don't want to like make it seem like oh, hey, there's these people out there that I'm better than or anything because of this thing. It literally all it is information and tools that we happen to stumble upon, and a specific mindset that led us to, you know, the ideas and things that we have now and brought us to this path, and anybody can go there. Yeah. It's just a matter of like being introduced to it.
Yep.
And that's it. That's all it takes. You know,
I think everybody comes into those tools at their own time too. Like when they're ready, like it goes to that principle of when the student's ready, the master appears. And for us, it was like, we all just happened to find Jordan Peterson right around the same time.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan, Aubrey Marcus, you know, Jocko Willink, all these people that are that have been themselves, that were students themselves and already did these things, and now we, you know, given the internet, which is absolutely amazing and fantastic and terrible and horrible at the same time. Yeah. Like we're able to seek those things out and find those things. Like it's all available there for us to, you know, be like, hey, like I don't know shit, and I can maybe kind of know a little bit of something if I try. Like, and then you find it, and it's just like, wow, I want to keep doing this because I see how applying these things that other people have done and then got somewhere awesome. Like I can take what they did and apply it to myself, and then maybe I can get somewhere even half as awesome, and that will be great. You know, that will be absolutely great.
You're downloading information. You know, like your body is an avatar to your soul. Mm-hmm. You're using your body, and downloading that information to your brain. Kind of it's just a crazy thought to go. I can apply it and change my life.
Right.
All from just reading something that I probably heard of it.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how to apply it. Here's something that will teach you how to apply it.
You got to find that medium in order to take in the information, not just hear it.
And then as soon as you get to the point where, okay, I can kind of like, because at first you don't really know how to apply information that you learn about like self-change and processing stuff. But once you get to the point where it's almost like you fake it till you make it, right?
Right.
That's what you do first. You're like, okay, I understand these ideas, so I'm just going to kind of try and do this thing. And then eventually you hit this point where you notice, you're like, oh, I did this thing, and now I'm in a different, something's new here. You know, I'm in this different spot in my life. And I think it was because I did this thing. And then all of a sudden you get that like positive feedback. Yep. And you're like, I'm going to do that again.
I'm going to do more things.
I'm going to learn more shit. I'm going to learn as much shit as I possibly can.
All the smart kids in high school are like, where have you been? Where's your brain been?
Right?
And girls and clothes.
Yeah, exactly.
All that stuff.
Yeah. Material things, trying to be liked and accepted. And, you know, all that stuff. But hey, man, we're here.
We are at an hour and 11 minutes.
One.
Ooh, spicy.
We got to end it in 20 seconds.
20 seconds? Okay. Wait. Okay. Well, I don't know why.
I wish we could talk longer, and I'm sure
we're gonna have you back.
Yeah. I'm sure I would love to just come back here and talk for hours and hours.
We're gonna have you back.
Okay. Yeah.
If you're willing to come back to our Ramshackle podcast, we want you.
Oh yes, sir.
Yeah, dude. No, we'll go for more. Did you say that you had to be done by 9 or home by 9 type of thing?
By 9.
Okay.
Well, then we should probably.
That's why I'm saying we should cut it. So.
Yeah. But everybody say bye to Kevon. You'll see him again sometime soon, I'm sure.
Yeah. Bye, Kevon.
Thank you.
Kevon.
Thank you guys for having me.
We love you, man.
It's a really fun experience to get to hang out and learn. My mind is literally blown by how much you guys know, and it's great to share information.
Dude, we all got little chunks, and we got to share them. Yeah. Chunks together.
One chunk at a time.
Yeah. No, this was extremely fun. I'm happy we did it.
Yeah.
So, alrighty, folks.
All right.
We will see you in the next video.
Bye-bye.
Bye.